Yo, yo, what's up, brother?
Hey, happy 1 year, man.
Happy 1 year, right? We got some exciting stuff coming up in year 2. We're really happy to announce that that we are just signed an ambassadorship program with Schedulicity. Schedulicity is a scheduling app, and they've been kind enough to help us out this next year.
Yeah, we met them in LA when we did the Salon Digital Summit, and they really believed in what we were doing and how we were doing it, and so they wanted to know how they can partner up with us to even reach more listeners and give what we give.
That's right. So with our partnership with Schedulicity, we will be able to reach more hairdressers, and we'll be able to bring a lot more content and get to a lot more hair shows. So hopefully we can see you guys out there in the hair shows when we're there visiting.
Yeah, and they're going to give us some business tips throughout the podcast as well. And I'm so excited that, we're partnering up with people that believe in the same things we believe in.
Yeah, no doubt. That's pretty exciting. So anyway, Schedulicity, once again, big shout out to you, and
thank you for joining
your day off. Silly. Hey, welcome to your day off. My name is Corey, and of course I'm sitting with my bud Tony. What's up, Tony?
What's up, buddy?
It's a good one today, man.
Oh yeah, I think this is one of the kind of targets we had, the crosshairs on the when we started this thing, right?
Right.
You got the people that you want to talk to, you hope to talk to, and one day you'll be able to reach. And this person has done so much in a relatively short period of time,
yeah,
right?
No doubt, right. I mean, she's like the hardest working woman in our industry, right? I mean, like, and I don't know if that's true. I mean, I'm sure other people yell at me and be like, I work hard too. But, like if you look at honestly, just look at her like Instagram profile page, and she's got so many tags on there that you're like, holy cow, does this woman ever sleep?
Oh, how many accolades and awards and, dude, yeah, she's accomplished some serious results. And, I can't wait to get into her story.
Me either, because I think it's amazing, right?
Yeah.
And just a couple other things. I mean, she's been incredibly open and honest with our industry. She comes from a place of vulnerability almost. I mean, even some of the stuff that she's posted, you're like, wow, like major respect for that. She's not holding back, right?
Yeah, and she's kind of the epitome of what we're trying to be as well, right?
When we grow up.
Yeah, and even though we're a lot older than she is, but
we're older than everybody.
Yeah, but yeah, she does stuff for the industry, not necessarily for herself. Even though she might benefit from it, but that's because of her giving.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, hardworking, and she gives so much back to our industry.
That's awesome. You want to introduce her?
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's go ahead. So our guest today is the amazing,
the one and only
Rebecca Taylor. And I don't even really kind of know what to do or how to introduce Rebecca, because again, she has so many titles that I just assume that she has so many titles that everybody knows who she is. So, maybe we'll just introduce as Rebecca Taylor, and then she can spend the next 30 minutes telling us all her accolades and
who she is
and all her titles, So let's get in. So Miss Rebecca Taylor, welcome to your day off.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here with you guys. And how the hell do I follow up to all of what you just said about me? That was, I do sleep a lot. So, and that was very, very flattering, and I appreciate it. And yes, Rebecca Taylor, that will do. We don't need to go into the accolades. And I don't even like talking about those too much, to be honest with you.
Oh, then guess exactly what we're going to talk about, Rebecca Taylor.
Oh, great. Okay. But I'm excited to be here, you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much. But before we get into all of that, tell us where you're from, where you grew up.
Well, I was born in Pittsburgh. I'm gonna go way back. So I was conceived. No, I was born in Pittsburgh, and I moved to a small town in Northwest Florida called Pensacola, Florida, when I was 3. But then I would go back and forth every Christmas and summer to Pittsburgh. So I really identify with that area. I don't know, the way the people are, all that good stuff. Moved to Florida, stayed there for like 30 some odd years, and then moved to West Hollywood 4 years ago. But probably the majority of the momentum and my experience all happened from that small town in Pensacola, Florida. Even the wacky ass bright colored hair that I was doing in this very conservative town all happened the hard way in Pensacola, Florida. And it's nicknamed LA, Lower Alabama, because it's the city closest to Alabama on the west side of the Panhandle. So it was, if I don't even know how to describe it, it's very conservative. So yeah, that's where I built most of my whatever, you see on in my portfolio and my experience and all that good stuff. And when I moved to LA, I felt like maybe it catapulted a little bit more, but that's as far as like me, where I came from. And I'm sure you're going to ask more questions about how it was in school for me and all that. Yeah.
That story actually sounds very similar to Ricky's, right? Like Ricky, like
we have a lot of similarities, Ricky and I. He's from a small town in Louisiana. We actually tried meeting up years and years and years ago because we found each other on Instagram. I was in New Orleans and it just didn't line up, but our stories are very, very similar. Bright colored hair, hard to, find clients that want that in our small Southern town, moved out to LA. Very similar. I feel like he's like the dude me and I'm the chick him in a lot of weird ways. Yeah.
That is awesome.
That's pretty cool. So how did you kind of like, how'd you find the industry or, did you go to like hair school or an apprenticeship or how did that all work?
I'm licensed. So yeah, I did go to hair school. But before that, like right after high school, I had it rough. I really had it rough. I bounced back and forth between family members. My aunt and grandparents had me a lot of the time. It was not easy upbringing, but I did what you are told to do, which is go to college, and had a shit ton of student debt accumulate. But I ended up getting my marketing degree and instantly knew that wasn't for me, like the corporate world, and especially where I was in Pensacola. I would probably be doing marketing for like a garage door opener company or some shit like that. Nothing like I would ever be passionate about. So I went back to hair school, and I've been licensed for 15 years now. But in cosmetology school, I knew right away. And I can't tell you, there was my whole life I wanted to be a cosmetologist or anything like that. I just knew that I loved the transformative power of what stylists can create for their clients. Like somebody could be bummed out when they come in the salon. They could leave with all the confidence in the world, and impacting people like that really like resonated with me. Then when I got into school, this was the first time I was ever a good student in my life. I barely passed. Well, actually I dropped out of high school. I ended up going through a program to get my diploma, and then barely made it through college, like barely. And then in hair school, I was on the dean's list. I actually got out early by challenging the state board. I, researched it so much, lived it and breathed it. I would, not in a shitty way, but I would challenge the instructors and like, well, I kind of researched, and if you do it this way or this way, and a few of them didn't like me because of that, but I like really excelled in hair school. And that's when I knew this was going to be my calling. And I also knew, since I, accrued all this damn debt, that I had to make this good. I couldn't just, doodly-doo, be a stylist. I mean, which is great in itself, but I wanted so much more for myself. I wanted to take it to the max in the industry. And I think that's what really lit a fire into my ass to like take this all the way and do everything I possibly could in the industry.
Okay,
was that short enough for you?
Yeah, but I have a lot of questions about it. So
sounds like a total disruptor, right?
Yeah, total disruptor,
even
right?
in hair school.
Just little bit.
Let's talk about the state. What do you mean you challenged the state to get out of hair school?
So typically, I went to a junior college. It was Pensacola Junior College. It wasn't like a Tony and Guy or Paul Mitch or anything like that, because money was like hard to come by for me, because I had done things. I was out by the time I was 17. Like I said, it was really rough for me. But you can challenge the state board, the state of Florida anyway, if you have all of your services done. I mean, you have I think it was like 1,200 hours is what you needed to get your license before you could take your board. But I had all my services done within 8 months, and I challenged the state board. You can submit why you think you need to get out of school early. They can make sure you have all your services. You sit in front of the board and kind of state your case. And I was one of the, I think, only ones at that particular junior college that was able to take my state board 3-4 months early. So I got out of hair school way early. Yeah.
Wow.
That's amazing, because a lot of people just say, I just kick it back for the next 3-4 months, so I'm, eligible to take my state board. But you're like, no, I'm not waiting. And
I'm out.
That's kind of been your whole career, right? I mean, you're not waiting to get stuff done. You are, literally getting things done. You're in the forefront, even with the Vivid's color, right? I mean, we'll get more into that story, but you're in an area that's not the norm, but you're not, you know what? I'm not going to stick back and just be the norm. I'm going to go out and make some noise.
Right?
I was like, there was resistance every step of the way with this type of color, with, getting out of school early, with I just kind of had a lot of odds against me, but because of my upbringing, like kind of failure wasn't an option. Like, because it was so hard, I could have went two ways. I could have been, woe is me, shit was super hard, like I just got dealt the cards I was dealt, or I'm going to take all of this and take it as life experience and just try to be as much of a badass as I can be. So I went that way.
So the $1 million question, you get to take the state board early. Did you pass?
I did pass.
And then all that and then failed the state board.
Right.
Wouldn't that would be like really embarrassing. Right. And they'd be like, go back to school, dumbass. You're not ready for this. Yeah. I passed, and they give you a printout that same day, and which makes you eligible to be a stylist before you get your physical license. So I already had a position at Regis in the mall. I went right there and took my first clients the very day I passed my board. So I was like, I'm in it. I'm ready.
Bravo,
ready to go.
I remember my first client. I was scared to death.
I know, right? I was too.
Well,
it's like I passed the state board in 8 months. So
here's the thing, and this is bad, and hopefully, I won't be naming names, but I was a receptionist at Regis before I was licensed and doing doing clients. So at night when the manager would leave, I would actually take and do clients unlicensed. And so I already had that sort of like comfort level of doing hair in a salon. But one time I actually was curling this girl's hair for her prom, and I burnt the living shit out of her forehead. And I was like, they're going to take my license. She's going to sue. I didn't even have my license. I was never going to be a stylist. The girl was so sweet. I stopped doing clients unlicensed at that point. Had a second chance at life at that point. So I wasn't scared to take my first clients. And yeah, another little story about Regis when I worked there. Again, very conservative. I think we used Wella and Redken. There was no fashion color line. There was nothing. So I would just shimmy out of Regis and go to Hot Topic, which was next door, and buy like Manic Panic or whatever the hell it was, and then come back and do my client's hair with fashion color. I wasn't going to be like, oh, well, I can't do it. I'm like, I can do it. I will do it. And if I have to bite at Hot Topic, so be it. I'm going to do what I want to do, damn it.
That's pretty amazing. I mean, how did even so you've always, ever since hair school you're known for your Vivets now or your fashion colors now, but you knew in hair school and stuff that's, you were going to master this?
I was just drawn to it. I was just drawn to fashion color. I feel like I would be so bored and limited with just doing brunettes, redheads, and blondes. There's so much beauty in those shades, and I do appreciate natural color so much. And sometimes it's more challenging even than fashion color. But I looked at, magazines like Modern Salon and Behind the Chair and all these print magazines, which were huge at that time, and looked up to an artist named Sue Pemberton, who was the artistic director for Joico at the time. And she did just amazing, amazing color. And so I knew right away I wanted to do fashion color. And in school, like I said, I brought my own color. I got models to let me do it. I started building my portfolio in school. And the thing is even if you live in a small conservative town and typically the clients are not, necessarily wanting it that you know of, if you do it and begin to do it well and put that imagery out there, there are people, no matter where you are, I don't care if it's BFE, like the tiniest southern town in the world, there are people that want that. And so once they see you can do it, then more people will come and those people will pay you. You don't have to do it for free like a model, and then more people will come and then your portfolio builds. And that's where I'm at now. My portfolio has been, that's all it is. I do a naturals every now and again, but I don't care. Like I said, I don't care what the circumstances. You can get the kind of clientele that you want if you put in the time. You go in on your off days, you do clients for free, and you like build that kind of area of expertise you want to focus on.
Do you think your background in marketing has helped you with all that?
I think so. Like when I went to school, there wasn't any social media coverage, but I think it spoke to me, and I have that innate sense in me, knowing what's going to resonate with people, knowing how to get my information out there, knowing how to get me and my area of work out there. I definitely think so. I paid attention a little bit. There's, like I said, things are ingrained in me, but as far as marketing goes and how I built my clientele and how I've continued to build like my brand, I started with MySpace, and that was popping off at the time, good old MySpace. And that went to Facebook, and everything that came out, like I was on top of when Periscope was big, you know, and then Instagram, like every YouTube, anything that I could use and utilize, especially these free forms of advertisement and marketing, I was all over. And, you know, obviously I'm not going to, hide the fact that social media has been a huge part of why I'm able to get like myself out there, my brand out there.
Well, that's it, right? I mean,
lucky for us.
I know, right? I mean, lucky for, well, I mean, listen, she took advantage of it, not in a kind of negative way, but I mean, we're doing the same thing. I mean, we're doing the podcast, through our social media.
Yeah, but at least she has something to offer.
You guys do too. You guys do too. Absolutely.
Man. Come on, man.
That's true.
No, you guys, how to ask like the right kind of questions that resonate with stylists. People love watching this shit.
No, meaning like if I pull up your Instagram, like, oh, look at all this beauty. You pull up our Instagram, like, these dudes are ugly.
Oh, heck. Your brand's awesome.
Oh, dudes.
Yeah, I'm busting his.
That's funny.
You guys are awesome.
So Rebecca, when do you know that moment where you kind of felt like you popped off, or was it just like just a long grind?
I would say it was more of the long grind scenario because, like I mentioned, MySpace is where it all started. So I've been hustling pretty damn hard on social media and trying to stay consistent and just keep doing my thing for a better part of a decade. It has been the stairs, not an escalator at all. There have been ups and downs, but when I first really started seeing it pop off is when I started getting noticed by some of the commercial trade or commercial kind of avenues, like Glamour said I was, what was it, like best vivid colorist in the world. I had my work on Good Morning America.
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up. I mean, to be labeled as the best of vivid color in the world.
But who's Glamour, right? Who's to say?
Hey,
I'm just saying, I do appreciate, and that's huge. And Glamour is, an amazing, reputable source. I don't want to ever let shit like that get to my head, though. I mean, that's a cool accolade. I will say that. That's nuts. But there's so many other
said you're the best colorist of social media, and social media is a worldwide event as well. So
this is why I told you guys I don't like talking about myself too much, because there's so many amazing artists out there that I look at their work and I'm like, damn, I wish I could do something like that, So they inspire me so much. So when it comes to the best of this, the best of that, that's relative. The person naming you the best of something, it's all relative, speaking. So it's cool. I won an award for Stylist Choice Award. I don't even remember what it was, best online colorist or something like that. They're cool. I'm looking over at my little mantle and I'm like, right on. I'm glad I have that. But I don't want to ever let that shit get to my head. But, a little bit of validation here and there never hurt anybody. So it's,
do you ever find moments where you catch yourself that you're in your head, or that you're letting it get to your head? And if so, like, what's your psychology to kind of get out of that? Because that it's a path to nowhere.
A resounding yes, do I get in my own head. And I go through like phases of being like, it's manic. It's not diagnosed. I don't have any actual problems that I can commiserate about, other than the fact that I'll be really, really like going hard and like really busy and creating shit I'm really proud of. And then like something will happen. Probably it's usually me being stagnant and I'm not busy. And so there's a lot of time to think, and there will be a lot of comparisons, and I'll get caught up in like, well, my engagement's low, or I did this, and blah, 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 blah. And you're right. It is a road to nowhere. And I snap myself out of it. And usually it's a good self-help book or getting back in the gym or just something to do to start making me feel better about myself. But I, like a lot of stylists, struggle a lot with self-doubt and the what ifs and being scared to fail. And right now, my current thing, and I'm not even, I'm not in a shitty headspace right now, but right now, I feel like it was easier to slowly but surely like climb and like build numbers and have different things under my belt. That was easier than now that you have all these things to maintain that, whether it be level of relevancy or feeling like I've done so many things before, feeling bored. by myself and the work I produce, like that's harder than the climb for me. So I'm just trying to get and I am right now in a good mindset. And I just want to do things for the right reasons and not worry about validation, not worry about numbers, and just do things to make my models and my clients happy and feel beautiful and work that I'm super proud of, and not get caught up in the drama. Because there can be a big old boatload of drama in this industry if you feed into that stuff and, let it consume you. And I don't want to go there. I just want to be in a really healthy space.
A couple of things is one, I'm pop psychologist hitting you right now, but listen, we're in a new realm. Rebecca's at the top of the game, and there is no role model for her to look up to because she's creating new space, right? So I certainly understand how feeling, continue to feel relevant or whatever can be a struggle. But, from an outsider looking in, paving new roads, you're paving new roads. So, I mean, I get that can be the struggle, but you're completely relevant in my life, kiddo.
Well, I appreciate that. And that's really flattering for you to say, like, I'm the top of my game and all that. But I feel like if you believe that too much, for me anyway, I don't want to ever get cocky or think I've achieved it all. Or I really like, and this whole hierarchy system of who does what and numbers and all of that shit. I don't like that. I don't subscribe to that. I'm no better than anyone else. I feel that my stylist folks are my peers, not like I'm here, they're there. I think when stylists or platform artists or educators start getting that mindset where their shit doesn't stink. I didn't ask if I could curse on this, by the way, but I've been doing a fair amount of it. But, sorry, but anyway, I just feel like once you start getting that inflated ego, that is going to be your demise. So I never want to be like, oh, I'm here and I've done all this and someone's here. I don't like that. I don't subscribe to that.
That's one of the things I think I love about you the most is you are humbled, you know what I mean? And you are open and reachable and touchable and talkable. And I mean, you know what I mean? You don't put yourself above, other people like that. And that is, to me, is one of the most beautiful things that someone can stay, just humbled and true to themselves like that to our industry and not, disconnect or separate.
Well,
yourself.
Thank you. I had an experience. I went to Premiere Orlando. I don't even know when, but it was years and years ago. I was a baby stylist, and people were waiting in line to speak with this particular stylist that's very well known. And when I got to have my chance with them, it was just so flippant and could care less and get out of here and acted like such a hot shot. And the line of people waiting were nobodies. I remember that feeling. And I remember being like, if I'm ever in the position to have a line wait or a meet and greet or anybody wanting to come up for whatever reason, a picture, I'm never, ever going to make someone feel lesser than, because that's shitty. These are your people that you idolize and that you think are so awesome. And then whenever you get up there and they're douchebags, you're like, your whole illusion is just out the door. So I never wanted to, like I said, I don't want to make people feel like that ever.
Let me ask you this, I don't know, gosh, it's been almost a year now, but we talked to Eric Taylor on our podcast, and we talked about this, and we all kind of came to the consensus that maybe that world's changing a little bit, and that what Instagram or what social media has done is it's really let the nice people rise to the top. Because
I agree.
I'm always looking for nice role models, but you just don't. Now social media exposes everybody so much that there's space for the nice guys, and even for Tony and I, I mean, we like to kind of be nice guys, and I think that we have a space now where we can just be nice guys, in the industry. So
we need more of that. I'm great. I'm so glad you guys are doing what you're doing. We need more of that because there's so much cutting one another down and comparing and talking shit, and the internet is full range. These keyboard warriors that want to be like, well, that looks like garbage, or why, we need more positivity in the industry. And like you said, I think there are so many people platformed for being awesome and positive and uplifting, and you guys are included in that. And I'd like to think I am. And I think it's a great place or a great time for the industry right now, honestly.
But just to name drop again, I mean, my role model is and always has been Philip Wolf, because I mean, Philip is just the most genuine, nice guy. And I admire the heck out of him. I admire the way that he does interact with people. Again, and that goes from like comments on Instagram to if you ever see him at a show, he's completely open to everybody. Really,
I couldn't agree more. He's one of my favorite people. Just like you said, the way he treats other people just defines him as a person, and he's just one of the coolest guys I know.
That's
for sure.
Cool. So back to Rebecca Taylor. So you mentioned that sometimes if you're in a bad headspace, you're like, okay, I got to get to the gym and stuff. And first off, I want to commend you because your weight loss post have been incredibly inspiring to me. It's an incredibly vulnerable thing to do, and I know those first pictures are so incredibly hard to put up. But first off,
was it?
big high fives to you for doing it and I think that a lot of people, I mean, listen, just a lot of people, I was going to say in our industry, but just a lot of people struggle with that. So the fact that you were willing to be vulnerable, I mean, you've got my heart with that. And I thank you for that. So, I just want to spend a little bit of time there. Like, when was that? Oh shit! I gotta lose weight. Like, what do you remember those moments? And like, what and what's in
kindergarten? I shit you not.
But do you remember the moment where you're like, this is my commitment. We're gonna do this time.
Well, God, there were so many like attempted and failed, tries for me to try everything my whole adult life. Like I was overweight from age 6. So it's been a long journey and I tried all the bullshit, but I don't know the exact turning point why I went so far as to have weight loss surgery. It's just, I have some health issues with like hypothyroidism. So it's very difficult for me to lose weight the traditional way. So I just wanted to, I'm coming up on 40. So I want to live the best life I can. And it's not so much about the way I look, but the way I feel and what I'm able to do. And like activity wise, I want to run and jump and freaking climb shit. And I want to, live my best life I can. So when I got that surgery, it was scary, but the recovery process wasn't that bad. But I always knew that by putting it all out there, there are a lot of people that do lose weight, but don't say they got weight loss surgery. So it gives people all these false expectations like, oh, these people are, dropping pounds like crazy and they must be hustling. And why am I not that good? And I never wanted to be, I didn't want to keep that on the low. I wanted to be like, this is the means in which I lost weight. And these are the kind of adverse effects. These are the positives. Would I do it again? I just wanted to be very honest. And it was very hard to put my naked original before picture out. No, it wasn't naked, but it was like in my skivvies. And I was like, whoa, my God, is this what I was scared when I hit that post button, but the positive response was overwhelming. And I was very, very honest about everything it took to go into it, the mental side of it, all the physical stuff. So yeah, I'm an open book when it comes to that. And I'd rather be vulnerable than be, I don't know, I just rather be vulnerable. I feel like it's easier that way. It's not like you live one life and you live another life. You are who you are. And if I could just help one person, then I know that sounds so cliche, but at least one person, that's my job's done,
Well, I don't think it does. And like, when you talk about, like for years, it's funny as you get older, how this word changes, but like, I'm going to be real, and like when you're young, it's like, I'm going to be real, which gives you permission to be an asshole, but as you get older, being real is like permission to be vulnerable. So
yeah.
Anyways, thank you. I mean, thank you for, as a viewer of your content, I appreciate you.
100%. And
thank you.
And, the whole thing about being an open book and being vulnerable, it's still helping, her whole viewpoint is to help somebody else.
Totally.
And that's, what I mean? And we haven't even got into other parts of our industry that she's really has created to help other people. And that's what it's going to lead this in perfectly. So you are the CEO or founder of H.E.F and Vivid's Education. How did all that come about?
Whew. Well, okay. So my background in education, when I was out of hair school and working in Regis, I think it was in the back of a Behind the Chair magazine. They were looking for educators for Joico, and their stipulation was you had been out. You have to be out of hair school or licensed for 2 years to be eligible to be an educator. Well, I didn't want to really take that for face value, and I wrote in anyway. And so I was flown to South Florida to audition in front of all these like senior educators and like their marketing team or whatever. I was scared shitless. I was a new stylist, you know, but that was my first taste of, you know, faking it till you make it. So I ended up auditioning and being an educator for Joico, a national educator. And that went on for about 6 or 7 years. And then from there, I was starting to teach classes, and and it's very corporate education. It's very manufacturer, you know, you can only say this, you can't deviate. The technique is this, like you feel it's very scripted, you know? So when I started getting requests from the salons I would visit saying they want me to teach my own class with my own techniques, that's for me when independent education started. And at the time, there was nobody for me to, you know, there was not a blueprint for independent education, not that I knew of. I knew nobody doing that. And that would be my own format, the products that I wanted to use, the things I wanted to say. That was very difficult. So all my knowledge that I gained from Joico with public speaking and how to present information and the background on color theory and all that good stuff, I created a curriculum and a format. And I did a few around my town and all that, but the first like crazy tour that I ever did was up the East Coast. It was 6 cities in 7 days, which is, I don't even know how the hell we did it. But it was basically sold out. It was $500 per person. Each class had about 20 people. And I was like, oh my God, independent education is a thing. Like every class, someone would cry or have a breakthrough, happy cry, have a breakthrough. Yeah, they weren't devastated. They were happy crying.
Rebecca was the only one.
I know. They're like, I wasted my money. Fuck this. No, they were, no, it was, you know, I try to really touch on the mental and the emotional side too of hairdressing. Like we put our all into this. We're dealing with clients every day, and, you know, there's a lot of heavy stuff that goes along with it. The creative process. Artists are notorious for being like, you know, they struggle sometimes. So I wanted to talk about that. And I also wanted to get into like the technical and all that good stuff. So it was 8 hours of a bunch of badass stuff, a culmination of everything that I had learned crammed in this 8-hour class. So we managed to do this tour. And then from there, it's taken me all over the world. And H.E.F, Hairstylist Education Forum, that's what H.E.F is. It's a Facebook group. It's a private group, so it's only for stylists, students, licensed individual, barbers. So you can't be a non-hairdresser and be in the group, which is very labor intensive for the admins to verify, you know, whether or not people can be added. But it's a group I started about 4 years ago, and it's grown to 150,000 stylists. I think it's the group with the highest following of pro-only stylists that there is. Yeah, so that's where that's at. But education has always been where my heart lies and still does. And that's stylists are my people. I mean, nobody gets a stylist like another stylist. So if there's a way that I can have that be where my focus goes one way or the other, that's where I'm at with it. I mean, I love doing hair, but I love, what's that saying? You give someone a fish they eat for that night, you teach them to fish. And, you know, I feel like I can only touch so many people doing clients on my own. I'm only one person, but if I can teach so many other stylists, you know, to be a better stylist or whatever the case is, I feel like that I can touch so many more stylists that way than just doing hair behind the chair. That's how I feel about it.
Boom. I love that. Actually, I want to do a name drop. Can we do a name drop?
Okay. Because drop all the names.
Well, I think we have a mutual friend, and I think he helped you out at Joico, Mr. Ben Mullen.
I love Ben. Yes, we do have a mutual friend. He's one of my best favorite homies in the world. And talk about a genuine dude. He's another one that his heart is so big and he's so talented. So yes, I love Ben.
And he's all about the industry as well. And he's all about not the industry, but he's all about the hairdresser, the hairstyle.
Yes.
You know?
Absolutely.
So did he help you? You said that you were doing some public speaking and stuff. Did he help you? Because Ben has that public speaking program. Did he help you with your public speaking?
At that time, Ben, I never even maybe met Ben once when I worked for Joico at one of the training events, but I never had taken a class from him. He was more of like a platform artist and hadn't honed in on like the Ben Mullen project that you see now. So I never had the opportunity or the luck of the draw to have him, you know, share any of that with me back then. But that's where we met, and we've continued on. It's been like 9 or so years now that I've known Ben. I love that that guy to death. He's a good dude.
Yeah, he's a really good dude.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite dudes. I mean,
Right?
He
He's
gets
a
crack
dude,
up.
man. He
Same.
Yeah, he's just a good dude. We certainly hope to take the public speaking class because it's easy to talk with one person in front of a microphone. It's really hard to put a couple more people in front of you in front of that same microphone.
It's terrifying. It is terrifying. Like the first time I did it, I'm like, I'm either gonna vomit, pass out, or crap, or something's gonna happen really bad. And and I thought, or all three, and it's gonna be like my career is gonna be ended. And the first time I did it, and the first time I did it was the Joico thing, and there was maybe like 5 or 10 big corporate bigwigs and like the president of education, and then my whole like peer group, which was 60 or 70 stylists. And you think they're all looking at you like they want you to fail. That's not the case. They want you to succeed, So once you don't pass out or vomit or whatever, you're like, okay, that wasn't so bad. And I've gone on to do events in front of 3, 4, 5, 6,000 people. And whether it be 30 or 6,000, now it's just like, it feels good. It's exhilarating. I still get nervous, always get nervous. But when I get out there and you find your flow, it's so good. But yeah, Ben has a course that can make that process a lot easier on you and give you a lot of confidence. And yeah, highly recommend. He and I have actually been talking about doing some sort of collaboration together when it comes to education or classes. So I hope that happens soon.
Oh yeah, we're in.
We're in. For real.
Right.
We'll be their audience, right?
Yep. 100%.
That's so cool. So we talked a little bit about, I think we might be backtracking a little bit, but we talked with Jamie Dana a little bit about imposter syndrome. And she said the first time that she taught a class that she felt like, do I belong here and all that stuff. Have you experienced that? Actually, I know you have because I think it's a human experience. But what's been your experience with fighting through that kind of like, do I belong feeling?
God, that kind of touches on what we said a little bit ago about like comparison and like if you get in your own head or whatever. But I feel like because I do, not to use this term, but I do keep it as real as I can. I feel like I'm not like one person in front of this person or another person when I'm around this person. I don't know. I don't know. I don't even really know what imposter syndrome is. Like you're not your genuine self and like you don't deserve to be there. Is that kind of what it is? Or
I just think it's when you get in your own head, kind of like what made me think about it is when you said that, people are there you think that people want you to fail, but they really are there to support you. So, I guess it's just that transition, like if you're in the headspace of like, they want me to fail, that's like that imposter syndrome. Like, do I belong here? Do I deserve,
I see what you're saying.
Do I deserve to be standing in front of these people educating?
I have thoughts like that all the time. Like usually when it's in front of a group and I'm educating in that sort of environment, I use a little bit of humor to like lighten people up because a lot of times they're sitting there like stone cold face, like whatever. And of course you're thinking the worst, but if you just kind of scan the room and you find that person nodding a little bit or smiling or whatever, for me, it kind of like, I don't know, warms me up a little bit and gets me going. But after that, like, I feel like once you get going with some momentum, it's fine. So that's one thing when it comes to being on stage. I don't really have thoughts of like, oh, I don't belong to be here, or I don't belong here, or I don't deserve this or whatever, because it's a really good energy. But as far as myself and internally and with social media, I have thoughts like that all the time. Sure. Like, do I deserve this? Yeah, I do. But then, like I said, I try to just snap myself back out of it and go back to my roots of why I do hair. It's not for validation. It's not for numbers. It's not for likes. It's not for this and that. It's for making that person who I'm working with feel beautiful. And it's for me to be creatively fulfilled. So I just got to snap myself back out of it. But I'm guilty. I'm just as guilty as everybody else for having low moments like that. But you yourself, you're the captain of your ship. So you are the one that's going to control it internally. So I try to get my head out of my butt as soon as possible when that starts to happen.
Well, and I guess if you have a goal in mind, or know your why, right? Why you're doing it, and that kind of helps you to kind of stay focused, or get all that other garbage that's trying to get in there to take up space, right?
Mm-hmm.
Keep you clear and stuff like that. But what keeps you current, or what keeps you motivated for the next thing? Or
you guys said, when do I sleep and stuff? There's a lot of downtime, because my situation now is I don't take clients. I do have a studio, but I haven't taken clients since I moved to West Hollywood 4 years ago. So that was a culture shock. I owned a salon in Florida, took like 7, 8, 9 clients every day, 70 hours a week. It was bananas. So from that to having very little structure, being self-employed, there are days where I don't work. I'm just working on my computer or at home. And if I do that too often, I get into a rut. So keeping myself busy is very important. So I book content models as much as possible. And I just want to do, when it comes, okay, so whenever they're like, do whatever you want, sometimes that doesn't challenge you. When you have a client, they come in, they tell you what they want, and they have a lot of challenges with their hair. When I source these models, a lot of times they're pre-lightened or they have old fashioned color. They're not hard to work with, and they're saying do whatever you want. So the challenge is out the window, and that's when I get in my own head, or I'm thinking like, oh, I want to do something new. I want to do something fresh, something different, like something I haven't done before. So right now I just try to push myself. And do things that I'm not necessarily comfortable with. Do some things that are unexpected. Just try not to go through the motions, just really, really, really push myself to be fulfilled. But being busy is where I find my good, happy mental place, because sitting around, I just think way too damn much. Not a good place for me.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah.
Want to stay busy as we possibly can.
Yeah.
Dude, so I got to tell you that you are, and this isn't an exaggeration. Like you are completely an inspiration to Tony and I. We are such big fans of what's going on in H.E.F. and what that means for our industry. And I am so happy that you found that space for us as an industry, and
Thank
super,
you.
super stoked for that. I mean, again, just a role model. Like, congratulations and thank you again for bringing that to our industry.
Thank you so much. If I could just real quick talk about how H.E.F has evolved in a small way recently.
Yeah.
The H.E.F, the Hairstylist Education Forum, the big one with 150,000 stylists, we decided to do a sub group where it's live education. We have weekly educators, some of the biggest names in the biz. We've had like Jenny Strebe, we've had Philip Wolf, we've had Zach Mesquit, Lisa Carrillo. There's so many. Basically, every single week, a stylist goes on. It's very interactive. This is a platform, though, it's a paid platform, because you're getting like quality like a lot of content, and it's $30 a month. So this is a little subgroup to the big H.E.F Academy. So it's called, or this one's called H.E.F Academy. The big one's called Hairstylist Education Forum. So yeah, there's a page about it. The link is on my bio on my Instagram. It's been really, really amazing. We're paying the stylists for their time. We're keeping it incredibly affordable with $30 a month. So it's been some really, really dope education since we launched in October. And I would love for people to check it out and see what you think.
Are you doing special guests like weekly? How does that work?
Well, every single week we have another educator. And so that educator will go live for a minimum of 1 hour, showing whatever technique that may be. Do you guys know Darina, the amazing photographer
we just did a podcast with her.
Okay, so she is upcoming. Erica Keelan, she's upcoming. Lo, I can't even think of all the people that have done it so far, but every single week since October, a stylist will go live in there, and all members will have access to the live. We'll be able to do interactive questions. They're demonstrating. We had Nina Kovner, which was, she was talking about, just the mental side of our industry, and like a lot of really good applicable tips to kind of wade through what's going on and like your thoughts and all that stuff. But yeah, it happens every single week. And it's amazing. So you're getting a class every week.
And you're basically getting that for $7.50
yes.
a week.
Right.
A couple, right? Yeah. A couple of Starbucks is a couple of Starbucks and
one Starbucks.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. That shit's expensive. The Starbucks, not the H.E.F Academy. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you can't beat that with a stick. Usually a lot of podcasts on these other beauty outlets and networks. I mean, the podcast can be, or not podcast, but like webinar, they're as low as $20, but can be upwards to 40 or 50 for one podcast. This, you're getting 4 educators in a whole month. So it's only like, it's really affordable. This wasn't a way to like, be a millionaire or make a ton of money. This was a way to give another outlet or an access to education. And really the money that we're getting by the people that are registering goes to paying the educators for lending their time and expertise. So it's been awesome so far. And we want it to grow. We want it to become bigger than it is, so we can pay educators more, have huge free events like we did. I think not last year, but the year before, we had a H.E.F event, huge event, 500 people. They were allowed, everybody was in for free. We had 18 educators, including Ricky, Alfredo, Philip, Low Wheeler, David, you name it. 18 educators donated their time for free. This is all about ultimately giving back. So we want this to take off so we can offer more free education to people.
Beautiful.
I love me some Rebecca Taylor.
Yep.
Even when I talk so much, I feel like I'm talking you guys' ears off.
No, you're
can't
talking.
get enough.
You're talking.
Okay, good.
You're inspiring, Mama.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. You guys are great.
So is there anything else that you want to talk about or get into?
Sure. So I'm really, really lucky to work with several brands that I respect greatly, like huge, like, I don't know, foundational education companies. One of them being Redken. I was made their creative colorist, brand ambassador, whatever you want to call it, a couple of years ago. And that relationship has been absolutely amazing. So I love working with Redken. Have the same kind of deal with Sexy Hair. I've been working with B3 for 3 years now. So I'm really, really fortunate to be able to partner with these brands I use every day anyway. So it feels very natural to talk about them. And then a couple years ago, actually, I was reached out to, or somebody reached out to me from Finland, a person named Tattoo. So this was all via email. I never talked to this person.
Yeah, I saw them on Fantasy Island, right?
Yeah, the plane, not the plane tattoo. No, this tattoo looks like completely different. But for some reason, via email this whole time, I was thinking this was a woman I was talking to. But basically, they said they're a Finnish-based company. In their market with their permanent color, they were like ranked number 2 or 3. So in the Scandinavian countries, they were a big deal. They have a huge facility, blah, blah, blah. So they said their chemist had been recently working on a color line that was color all broken down into components. So basically you had your pigment, which could be a direct dye or survive in ammonia. And that in itself was crazy. I'm like, how can direct dye survive in ammonia and be permanent? That intrigued me. So that's the one part. The second part is alkaline, or ammonia, essentially. And the third part is developer. So never before have I seen basically stylists be given the responsibility to know how to mix color that way and have everything broken down for you. Like you get to be chemist a little bit. So fast forward, they were like, we want you to come to Finland, check this out. We got this, we have our prototypes, we want you to talk to our chemist, all that good stuff. So blindly, I went to Finland, not knowing what the hell was going to happen. I've done that a couple times. A similar opportunity took me to Australia, and I'm like, let's see what happens. But so whenever we got off the plane, I was looking for a chick that would be named Tattoo, and there was like a little Finnish white guy named Tattoo, and I'm like, oh hey, okay, we finally meet. So
Vatican is the Vatican.
I know, it's funny, but we went to the facility. Everything was legit. I spoke with the chemist. She gave me a breakdown of what everything was. This new color technology was definitely nothing that I had ever seen before. So long story short, they sent me home with all of the products. I worked with it for a year, went back and forth with the chemist, then with the marketing. So I worked on all of the packaging, the marketing materials, education, the name of the product. And along with this company, I developed this Trillion Tone. So it launched globally online March of last year. And as of December, we had a meeting with Salon Centric. And so they picked up the product and it's going to come to US market and all of the Salon Centrics. And That's huge. And that's probably going to be slated for, I don't know, to launch around August of September of this year. So that's nuts to me. It's nuts to me that I have a signature color line, and it blows my mind. And it's nothing like anything else you are going to see out there, which is again why I wanted to attach my name and my brand and be a part of something like this, because I've been approached 2 or 3 times in the past to do a direct dye line. And I didn't want to do something that had already been done before a million trillion times. There's so many direct dye lines now. So many great ones, I'm not talking crap about that category, but I wanted to do something different, and Trillion Tones is that, and it's a dream, and I'm just hoping that
so hold on. So you're saying that's an oxidative like Vivid line is that kind
everything? Well, yes. The short answer to that is yes, but it's anything you want it to be. It could be demi, it could be a toner, it could be lift and deposit, it could be permanent, it could be direct dye, it could be a remover, because all of the components are broken down. So based on how you mix it, is what color category it'll be. So for instance, if you mix one part the pigment and you create your own tones, because it comes with the primary shades and then it comes with brown, black, and white. So based on you can create, that's why it's called Trillion Tones. You can create trillions of color options. So let's say you wanted to make a lift and deposit purple on somebody. So you would mix red and blue, and then you would weigh that out, and you would do equal parts of the alkaline and then equal parts developer. So, and then it gives a breakdown on the website and everything. It sounds like it's a little bit advanced, but it's really simple when you think about it. It's just we as stylists now have the option to actually mix color for ourselves from the fundamental level of pigment, alkaline, and developer.
Didn't Wella have a product about, I don't know, 15 years ago that kind of did the same thing? Like you could buy like the pigment came in like these crystals. It was like the sugar covered crystals, and
Do you mean Magma?
No, it wasn't Magma. It was before Magma. It was like you had this whole kit, and you could kind of like add your pigments to it, to the developer, and it would break down. I don't know. There was definitely
there are similar things, but I think where the point of difference here is you have ammonia itself in a bottle. Like usually the ammonia and pigment are mixed together. That's what comes in the tube or the crystals or whatever the case is. And then you mix that with developer. With this, the ammonia, it's literally alkaline in a bottle. And I've not seen that anywhere. So that's the unique part. And to make it a remover, let's say you would mix the alkaline and developer together by itself with no pigment and apply that to like old fashioned color or something like that, and it would remove color.
Wow.
So it's nuts, and it's very versatile. And the kicker, the part that I absolutely love, is that it's compatible to be used with other hair color lines, all hair color lines. So that's my big thing. I don't like when you have to be like, I'm camp this or I'm team this, and you have to like whatever. This is compatible with all other lines. I mix it with my Redken all the time. I love it for boosters, for like changing and customizing my city beat. So you don't have to choose. This is just like a supplemental kind of arsenal in your toolbox that can do so much. And
pretty incredible, actually.
Yeah,
now with the lift and deposit colors, what's the washout or the longevity if you're looking at like Vivid type colors?
Well, it depends on porosity. So if you're putting on damaged hair or compromised in any way hair, of course, it's going to fade a little bit quicker. But on average, because you're actually swelling the cuticle and these direct dye molecules or vibrant molecules are being driven in a little bit deeper than if you were to apply it as a direct dye, you're definitely going to see 2 or 3 additional weeks of longevity than what you would normally get with direct dye. So, and if you applied it like lift and deposit and then did an overlay of a direct dye, it's going to last even longer. So it's nuts.
So it's kind of like its base or its foundation is also that direct dye. So that makes sense. Of that tone, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you do a direct dye over top of it, you're only going to like increase that depth.
How do I learn more about that?
So I went back to Finland not too long ago, and I did a series of webinars, but for free, about the most fundamental breakdown that you can possibly imagine. I'm like holding up every bottle and saying, this is what this does. I demonstrate on a model. I mix a bunch of different scenarios. But go to Trillion Tones on Instagram, and you can also go to trilliontones.com, and then Trillion Tones YouTube is where you'll find hours and hours of educational content. And we're going to hair shows all around this upcoming year. We're going to be in Salon Centric again. So we're really working on our education jam right now to make sure we're coming hardcore for the folks that want to know about it.
Look, all this, within, even though you said it feels like it's been a long grind within a 15-year span.
Right.
Of being a hairdresser.
I know, right?
So
that's incredible. That's why you're
Thank you.
Yep.
Like those that work hard. I mean, yeah, again, those that work hard, there's space for them, if that's what they want. Right.
Yep.
So
if I can do it from little ass Pensacola, I swear to God, anybody can do it. For me, I lived it, breathed it, slept, dreamt it, was consumed by it. I'm not going to say it's not going to maybe, take a toll on relationships, and you may not be going out and partying and whatever, but if you have tunnel vision, I swear to you, if I can do it, anybody can do it. So there's room out there for all of us. There's a shit ton of different avenues. You don't just have to be behind the chair. You can do whatever in the world you want to do in this industry. And that's why I love it so much.
Yeah. Again, thank you so much. We truly, truly appreciate this. And you are such a, like Corey said, an inspiration, not just an individual, but I mean, just for the whole community, man. And someone, and not just by how talented you are, but how giving you are. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that.
You all had that heart. It wouldn't be all this struggle. It wouldn't be all this hate, right? It'd be all love. So
I really appreciate that. I'm trying real hard not to, one might be coming out. So I'm trying real hard to, I don't take compliments well, but thank you so much. That means a lot.
Just for people to know at home, Rebecca was wiping her eyes while Tony was complimenting her. So.
Oh, yeah. Oh, did I say squeeze one out? And we didn't have... I forgot that people weren't looking at me. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for clarifying. Oh my God, that's funny.
Well, Rebecca Taylor, I'm going to ask you for a favor in that if we ever get the chance to do this live, there's nothing I would like more than to sit across the table from you and kind of hang out with you for an event. So we'll definitely try to get that on the book. I would love to talk to you face to face.
That would be my pleasure.
Miss Rebecca Taylor, thank you very, very much for joining us on your day off.
Thank you guys for having me. Mwah.
Please do me you.
Hey, so there it is. Hey, this is a message that we've been trying to bring, I don't know, for the last couple of months, actually since we started the podcast. Hey, so if you like the podcast or if you find that it's useful, please leave us a review, a 5-star review on iTunes. Leave us a rating and a review.
But if you don't like it, forget about it.
Yeah, totally forget about this message. We also want to thank Sarah and Blaine from Pretty Gritty. Sarah and Blaine, they are a band out of Portland, Oregon, and we just want to thank them very much for allowing us to use their song, Pleased to Meet You, on our podcast. That's cool. I think you can find, actually you can find their music on iTunes.
Peace and hair grease.
Join me for a smoke outside, if that's alright. Please do me you. Sure, I'd love to see you again sometime. You should know I'm leaving, 'cause I won't be tied down right now. Don't think too hard, don't think too much, darling.